amendment would be language that would enact an independent commission when all of the states have enacted an independent commission.
Are you going to then oppose this at the state level?
No, I think that they have not yet put forward what their final language is and decided exactly how this will go forward. So I think, again, an independent commission makes sense, but it's got to be done in every state in the United States or done at the federal level for all the states.
So again, that's Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday being asked about the bipartisan push to get a constitutional amendment on the ballot for November 2026 for voters to make the decision if they want, as the advocates for independent commissions say, do they want politicians drawing maps to pick their voters, or do they want voters being able to pick who their politicians are? So you've got that continuing forward. We'll be watching that as well. And I did just notice that the live stream cut off for some reason. We have to investigate that. But back with it here with Illinois in Focus Daily. And of course, you can catch these segments live or after the program to be able to stay plugged in. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us each and every weekday morning here for more Illinois in Focus Daily. And we'll be watching what happens with the independent map making process. We'll be watching what happens with the primary process. Tons of stuff for us to track here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Stay tuned. All right, not sure what happened, if it was in the middle of that most recent segment or if it was at the tail end of the first segment, but the live stream cut off. Not sure. Didn't have any gunfire going on, did I? But yeah, we still got some more to get to. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily. Thanks for coming back if you're with us on the live show. But don't forget also, you can get the podcast where you get podcasts uninterrupted. You can be listening to it while you're driving around, going from place to place. I drove so many miles from St. Louis to Chicago and then from Chicago to St. Louis and then back to Central Illinois. Podcast definitely helping out with long drives, so hopefully this podcast can help you with that as well. All right, we'll do one more segment here about the governor signing a ton of legislation, and we'll just take a look at some of it because it's kind of hard to go through 270 bills. It's Illinois in Focus Daily right here with the Center Square. All right, stay tuned. In one Friday afternoon, Governor J.B. Pritzker acted upon 269 bills, vetoing 2 of them, and signing a bill that the business community says will make Illinois a lawsuit inferno. And those are just a couple of the headlines. And the governor also acting on legislation dealing with cryptocurrency, digital currency, and regulations in the state of Illinois. A lot of legislation out there. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here for Illinois in Focus with the Center Square on YouTube. You can get the headlines in the inbox. Go to thecentersquare.com and click newsletter to sign up for that. All right, so I was off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. It's nice to have a 2-day work week, but Friday, as I'm getting things ready, and I'm like, it's going to be a nice long weekend, and I'm going to take some family members to go see a rock concert in Chicago and just have a good time. Then, Friday afternoon, we get an email from the governor's office that governor takes bill action. And I've seen these types of announcements where it's a couple of dozen bills that he announces were signed on a Friday afternoon. I've seen others where it's 120 bills or so. I think this might be the largest announcement. And again, the headline at thecentersquare.com, Pritzker acts upon 269 bills. And this was just on Friday, vetoing 2 of them. So now we have a couple of vetoes that legislators are going to have to act upon, come October during veto session. So the governor signing a ton of legislation in that announcement, 269 bills that he signed. One in particular, the Lawsuit Inferno bill, Senate Bill 328. And again, Lawsuit Inferno is what the opponents said about the legislation. But what it does, according to Republican State Senator John Curran, the leader for Republicans in the state Senate, he says he's deeply disappointed the governor ignored calls for vetoing the special interest legislation that will further deter businesses from investing in Illinois. Under Governor Pritzker, Illinois is a bottom 5 state in the nation for economic growth and job creation because of bad business policies like SB 328. You've got the issue of lawsuits reform that Republicans have been pushing for, and even the Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse saying that this would turn the state into a lawsuit inferno. So it takes effect immediately, but that's just one of the bills the governor signed. He acted upon 269 bills Friday. One of them vetoed, and that was a measure that would have streamlined family violence option screenings, but apparently it was identical language from a part of the budget bill that was enacted as well. So he went ahead and vetoed that, saying it would avoid any confusion. But he also vetoed another measure, Senate Bill 246, and this one's interesting. The governor said it was designed to allow the Illinois treasurer to create a nonprofit investment pool and an electronic payment processing program to benefit nonprofit organizations. The governor, in his veto message, said though SB 246 is well intended and might benefit nonprofits whose missions advance interests the state desires to promote, it would unfortunately also allow Illinois' financial investments to be used to benefit fringe and extremist groups. I cannot sign a bill, the governor said, that unintentionally allows extremist groups to advance their hateful mission by exploiting state services and resources. Will legislators go and try to change the veto to an override come October? So Senate Bill 246, that's going to be an interesting one to watch because, again, you've got the measure was supported by Illinois Treasurer Michael Frerichs, a Democrat. So the governor vetoed that. Let's go ahead and pull this up just to see what the ultimate votes thresholds were. So we'll pull up votes, take a look at third reading in the House, and this is at ilga.gov. 73, so they had a veto-proof majority there in the House. What about the Senate? We've got the Senate looks pretty healthy as well. So Barb, Democrats going to buck the governor and override his veto on this particular bill. And when you get down to the details here, as the governor says, he's worried about the resources possibly being used for political extremists who may have nonprofit organizations. But then you start getting into like a double standard question, right? I mean, Pritzker's idea of an extreme nonprofit group with extreme views is going to be different than a Republican who has questions about what they characterize as extreme views on the left. Pick your issue, right? Pick your issue. It could be about taxation. It could be about homelessness. It could be about police. It could be about issues around transgender. It could be around education. Pick your issue. You're going to get that different perspective here. So there's some interesting kind of, free speech, free association type of questions that can be worked into this. So will we see that as something that's going to be fought over during veto session? Will Democrats override Governor J.B. Pritzker's veto on that measure? I guess we shall wait and see. We'll be on the ground during fall veto session for that, so we'll keep you posted. But Pritzker signed 269 bills he acted on Friday. Signed House Bill 3756, creating an easy enrollment process for the health benefit exchange by allowing a special enrollment period for uninsured taxpayers who voluntarily seek health insurance information through their tax forms. Another bill, 1226, a House bill, raises the minimum age for drivers in Illinois and required to take annual driving tests from 75 to 79. That takes effect January 1st. Among other bills, the governor signed House Bill 1316, requiring school officials to to notify the office of the principal if they become aware of a person in possession of a firearm on school grounds or become aware of any threat of gun violence on school grounds. Pritzker's signature. That takes effect immediately. We've talked about that bill. That's a bill from State Representative C.D. Davidsmeyer. Among other bills he signed, House Bill 1710, requiring detailed quarterly reporting from the Illinois State Police on the progress of violent crime investigations. Dillon's Law, House Bill 2462, allowing any individual who undergoes required training to carry and administer epinephrine to individuals experiencing anaphylaxis. House Bill 2574 requires the State Board of Education to report information of each student assessments contracted and enters on its website to engage stakeholders and groups to improve transparency. I mean, listen, you can go through all of these if you'd like. This is just a small sampling. Right, House Bill 3000 requires employee IDs at school districts. House Bill 3026 requires the State Board of Education to adopt comprehensive guidance for school districts interested in expanding dual language programs. Another bill requires school districts to train all substitute teachers in lockdown drills. Another one requires counseling services under the school code to be provided regardless of citizenship status. You had another one that's been making some headlines as well about allowing for individuals who don't have social security numbers to get grants or something to that effect. But tons and tons of legislation. You can click through and see the actual list of bills that the governor signed, and it's almost like, you know, the opening credits of Star Wars, but just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. I could probably do this for the next 2 minutes, and it's gonna just continue to go. Maybe not quite that long, but still. A lot of legislation. So that was on Friday. Earlier this week, the governor signed separately other legislation dealing with digital currency. Here's the headline: Pritzker signs crypto regulations. So Senate Bill 1797 requires cryptocurrency companies to register with the Illinois Department of Finance and Professional Regulation and comply with state policies and procedures. Senate Bill 2319 requires digital asset kiosks, regulates them, and it says both of those took effect when the governor signed it. You know, digital currency, I've been watching that as well for a long time. Big question is, should states be doing this type of regulation on commerce when you've got, you know, the idea of interstate commerce being more of a federal purview, and digital currency is not, it's not restrained to a state or a country. Digital currency is global. It's worldwide. You can send Bitcoin to somebody across the world as soon as it's processed. There's no bank that was involved, and it's a transfer of what some people would consider wealth. Now Illinois is looking to regulate that. People pushed back when this passed. I remember hearing the debate on the House floor, and it was very much like, you know, we're going to be, you know, kneecapping digital currency evolution if the state of Illinois has strict requirements that other states don't have. But then you get to the questions about the digital asset kiosks, and maybe you've seen these. They look like ATMs. I mean, they are ATMs, but you can go and buy Bitcoin out of that kiosk, or you can go and deposit cash and put it into a crypto wallet. I understand if some of the conversation about digital currency gets a little confusing, but you've got digital wallets, and they can be anonymous. Especially if you're savvy enough to be able to just create a digital wallet, get onto the blockchain, and it doesn't have a name associated with it. It's got an ID of sorts, but it's just like, you know, a numerical ID, and there's a bit of anonymity added onto it. Can the FBI actually track that down? Maybe, if they're able to find out the IP address and be able to narrow in on where such transaction was coming from. But regardless, there's a lot of questions about, you know, the use of this for illicit means, and even some people worried that, number one, these digital crypto kiosks could lead to people being frauded and not understanding what's going on with digital currency, or it could help facilitate the illicit trade of drugs or human trafficking by having the bad actors get the cash for the transactions and just deposit that cash into a bank account that's not really a bank account. It's a digital asset account, and there's legitimate questions about money laundering and all of that. So the governor acting on digital currency legislation as well. So that would make it 271 bills that the governor acted on in the past week. But if you go to ilga.gov, let's go check this out together, because this is always fun to get a little bit of a tutorial of sorts. So let's go to the main page. Let's go up to reports and inquiry, and let's go to special reports. They did just recently change the website, so let's just go to legislative reports. Pending governor action right there. How many bills does the governor have left on his desk? He's only got 3 bills left on his desk. He worked through like 450 bills. Vetoed 3 of them, and now he's just got 3 bills left on his desk. All right, well, I think Friday, it's not going to be a bill dump day, I don't think. So a little bit of relief there on my part. All right, so still some things to unpack here. But 271 bills acted on in the past week. It's a pretty busy pen. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and you can wake up with us each and every weekday morning. Sometimes I got to tell you, after taking 3 days off, it's kind of tough to get back into it. But here we are. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. All right, seriously, greatly appreciate you guys and your patience. Not sure what happened with the stream. Solid stream, but somehow just decided to drop. Similar to how it did the other day when we had some produced video from a shooting range. But I'm not sure. I'll have to investigate that a bit. Again, that's why we do this live to tape, going live on YouTube, but we also record it locally for the full podcasts or for the individual segments. So if you missed the segments on Fair Maps, you can check that out here soon with the YouTube channel. It's greatly appreciate you guys being here each and every weekday morning. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Still plenty of stuff to catch up on after taking a couple of days off. I feel like I could take some more time off, though. So just fair warning. Might happen soon. Tons of other stuff going on. I'm going to be doing a on-the-road reporting here soon. I'll give you more details on that as it starts coming together, but it's going to be out of state involving some Illinois elected officials, and we'll definitely keep you posted on all of that. Tons more, right? I mean, we got to talk about the universal mental health screenings, had that lined up. We've got to talk about the other statewide races for governor, for comptroller, and so on. There's going to be obviously more legislation to unpack that the governor signed just in the past week. So keep it here. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Each and every weekday morning, I'm Greg Bishop. Thank you for being with me, and greatly appreciate you guys sharing it with your friends. But the best way to stay informed is to go to thecentersquare.com, where you can sign up for the newsletter and get the headlines in your inbox. Just go to thecentersquare.com, click newsletter, and if you're feeling generous, you can also donate. So again, go to thecentersquare.com. I'm Greg Bishop. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for more Illinois in Focus Daily.